morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we've got some monkeys to be talking about. Now, I showed you a new promo Aipom the other day, and I said that I really liked this new promo Aipom, and I do. It had a lovely little surprise attack. I'll link that one in the description. That Aipom was fun. But we've now got a new Ambipom and a new Aipom to look at, and they're both interesting enough that they're going to be getting a little bit of love and a little bit of a chat about in this video. I should mention that our translations come from the lovely Joe over at Cerebi.net, a very lovely chap running a very good website. And frankly, ladies and gentlemen, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, if you are not checking this website on a regular basis, I'm not exactly sure why. So if we start off with Ambipom, then the basics don't look terribly inspiring, because we've got a weakness to fighting, which is kind of rubbish, and 100 HP, which on a stage 1 is not great. You know, we got a bunch of stuff running around like Zapdos with 110 HP, and that's a basic, and that's not even the biggest one we've got. Plus, the weakness to fighting means a Boswell with Diancie Prism Star will not particularly struggle coming in getting a KO. So this doesn't look great off the bat. And it's a colorless Pokemon, so there's no extra help, no extra stuff going on here. It's just, yeah. It's colorless, right? You do get to use triple acceleration energy, and that's kind of lovely, but it's like a billion non-colorless Pokemon that can use that. That's used in a bunch of decks at the moment. Beheeyem used it at the World Championships. That was colorless, except it wasn't. It was psychic. The energy was colorless. Boo, etc. So never mind, ladies and gentlemen. Never mind. So there's got to be something good about it, and there is. First attack, 1 colorless energy, draw 2 cards. Now, I'll be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. Drawing 2 cards on a stage 1, I'm not loving. Because if you want to draw cards, we've got better options. I mean, Virizion might be a GX, but it just lets you draw 2 cards. And it's for a colorless energy, and it's on a basic. So if you go second, you pop a colorless energy down, you draw 2 cards, and all of a sudden it's certainly looking like being a stage 1 drawing 2 cards for a colorless energy isn't good enough. I mean, if you're looking at a stage 1 that's going to use a colorless energy, how about Glysaur? Draws 3 cards, which is just inarguably better. Meowstick, also from Unbroken Bonds, 1 colorless energy, draw 3 cards. Now, it does put you to sleep, but let's not forget we've actually got the Persian, which will allow you to use any of these Cat-A-Day attacks for 0 energy, which is kind of cool. The point I'm making is that just drawing... Oh, I'll give you one more, right? The Espeon from Lost Thunder. I think I've made my point. Drawing 2 cards for a colorless energy on a stage 1, not good enough. We've got plenty of better options. But a second attack's quite a bit better. 2 colorless energy, discard up to 2 cards from your hand. This attack does 60 damage for each card discarded. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is far, far better. Firstly, 120 for 2 energy is pretty good. Now, there's 2 things that make me lament a little bit when I look at this attack. The first one is we no longer have double colorless energy. Double colorless energy is no longer an option in our format. That makes me sad. The second thing that makes me lament a little bit is that this doesn't hit anything for weakness. Now, what you can do here is head on over into the expanded format, where we've got a bunch of cards from Ancient Origins. We got a Flareon, we got a Vaporeon, and we got a Jolteon. And these turn your stage 1 Pokemon into their types. Flareon turns it into a fire type, Vaporeon into a water type, Jolteon into a lightning type. So maybe in expanded with those cards, now you're hitting 240 for a double colorless energy. And okay, you won't always get all of the tag team GXs that you want to do. But I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, yeah. Frankly, yeah. But we don't have them, so we're left with an attack which does 120 for 2 colorless energy. Except it doesn't just do 120, it also discards 2 cards from your hand. And this can be pretty big, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we've got plenty of Pokemon out there that just let you draw up to a certain amount of cards. Now, we have lost Aura and Guru, which was sad because that card rocked, but we still got a bunch of stuff out there like Miss Magius, which lets you draw until you've got 7 cards in hand when you KO it. So what you can do here is empty out your hand the turn before you start rolling with Miss Magius. Or maybe you're up against something with Poltergeist. Maybe it's Mimikyu and Gengar. Or, that could be fun, right? Because they do 50 damage for every trainer card in your hand. So what you can do is use this attack to discard trainer cards from your hand, and then your opponent can't do anything. Because they're not doing any damage. Because you've discarded cards from your hand. This is one of those weird attacks that 90% of the time, you're looking at it going, well, I don't want to discard cards from my hand. But actually, there are some really weird niche uses. I mean, there's some more obvious ones. If you are in Expanded, you've got the other Flareon that does more damage for every Pokemon you got in a discard. We've always got stuff like Naganadel that really wants energy in a discard so it can accelerate it to itself using its ability. Discarding cards can be good. And this is a nice way to do so while doing a bunch of damage. Maybe you discard tool cards and then start rocking along with those Rotoms. Second time I mentioned them in a video recently. Where they attack for free if you've got 9 tools in your discard pile, for instance. That could be fun. Discarding cards is not always bad. I do like this. In a pre-release, this is going to be an absolute beast. Because drawing cards in a pre-release is way better than in a regular format, because you're looking at a slower format. And you've got, 120 damage. That's really good, ladies and gentlemen. That's really good. Now, at this stage, we need to go back and have a little bit of a look at Aipom. Because I did say we would. And if we have a look at the basics of Aipom quickly, retreat cost of 1 does mean U-turn board. And 60 HP does mean you can search it out with Professor Round's lecture. But by the same token, Buzzwole gets a 1-hit KO just straight off the bat, which makes me a little bit nervous. But it's got a really nice ability. Once during your turn, you may move the top card of your opponent's deck to the bottom of their deck. Now, it doesn't say you can look at it, so you can't look at it. And this could actually be lovely. This could be really good. There are a couple of combos here that I really like. First of all, it's not seeing as much play now as it did in the past, but we still got Makago from Celestial Storm that lets you search your deck for any card and put it on top of your deck. Often played with Pidgeotto, or at least it would be nowadays, so you can essentially draw that card and then put the next card on the bottom of your deck. Pidgeotto lets you look at the top 2 cards, 1 in your hand, 1 to the bottom of your deck. But if you play Makago, you'll want to put the one on the top into your hand. That's literally the entire point of it. So what we've got here is a way that if your opponent uses Makago and then ends their turn, you're like, oh, bottom of your deck, just to screw with them. Or any other thing that makes them end the turn with a card they want on the top of their deck. But also, we saw Lantern the other day. And Lantern's got a really nice ability that lets you, as often as you like during your turn, look at the top card of your opponent's deck. So what you can do here really beautifully is use Lantern to look at the top card of your opponent's deck. And if it's a card you think they're not going to want next turn, you let them keep it. And if you look at it and go, oh, that's going to be useful for them next turn, then you grab it and you put it on the bottom of their deck. So now they can't have it. That's fun, ladies and gentlemen. That's really fun. So, I like this. Now, it does take up 2 bench spaces, which I think is really the downside of using Lantern and Aipom together. But make no mistake about it, this is a fun combo. If you're playing some kind of disruption deck, if you're playing one of these myriad of decks we've got around at the moment that can potentially run your opponent out of cards in their hand, yes, obviously you can use Chip Chip Ice Axe to stack the top of their deck a little bit. Look at the top 3 cards, put 1 on top of their deck and shuffle the other 2 in. But you can also use this. So you use this, use Lantern I mean, and then if they've got a good top deck, you use Aipom. But you can use Lantern as often as you like, so then you use Lantern again. And if they've still got a good top deck, then and only then do you use your Chip Chip Ice Axe. I really like this. This is a cheeky monkey. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. New Aipom, new Ambipom. I'm going to give the pair of them free Wassies. They seem like fun techs you might want to chuck in a deck here or there. That's a free Wassie card. But I'd like to know what you think about the pair of these monkeys, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have any Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.